if the greatest secret of human history is buried under the thickest ice on Earth? A place so isolated, so untouched, that even sunlight struggles to reach its secrets. Welcome to Antarctica, a land of silence, frozen storms, and mysteries deeper than the ice itself. This is World's Echoes, and today, we're going on a journey to the very end of the world to uncover a story that connects ancient myths, modern science, and secrets governments have never fully explained. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you see our planet forever. When you look at a map, Antarctica seems simple, a frozen continent at the bottom of the globe, covered in ice for millions of years. But here's where things get strange. Beneath that icy desert, scientists have discovered entire mountain ranges, freshwater lakes sealed off from sunlight for over 15 million years, and, according to some, structures that look far too symmetrical to be natural. Could there be something, or someone, buried beneath? Let's begin from the start, from the moment humans first laid eyes on this frozen enigma. The first confirmed sighting of Antarctica happened only in 1820. Think about that, for most of human history, no one even knew this continent existed. Ancient maps, like the famous Piri Reis map from 1513, already showed a strangely accurate coastline of what looked like an ice-free Antarctica. How could that be possible centuries before modern exploration or satellite imaging? Some historians call it coincidence. Others aren't so sure. Because the Piri Reis map was said to be based on older sources, maps passed down from even earlier civilizations. Civilizations that, officially, shouldn't have known Antarctica existed. The idea alone raises goosebumps. Was there once a time when Antarctica wasn't a frozen wasteland? Modern geological studies suggest that millions of years ago, the continent was actually green, covered in forests, rivers, and possibly life. Fossilized plants and ancient pollen trapped in ice cores confirm it. Antarctica wasn't always ice, it was alive. But could humans have seen it that way too? There's an ancient myth echoed in cultures across the world, a tale of a great land that vanished under ice and water. The Greeks called it Atlantis. Some ancient Egyptian legends speak of a land of the south, home to a powerful, enlightened race. Even ancient Sumerian tablets mention gods descending from the heavens to rule on earth, building their cities in the far south. Coincidence again? Or fragments of a forgotten memory? In 1946, something extraordinary happened that reignited all these questions. The U.S. Navy launched Operation High Jump, the largest Antarctic expedition in history. It included 13 ships, over 4,000 men, aircraft, and advanced technology. Officially, it was a research mission to study survival in polar conditions after World War II. Unofficially, many believe something else happened. The operation ended abruptly, months earlier than planned. Rumors began spreading among military insiders and journalists that Admiral Richard E. Byrd, the expedition leader, encountered something beyond explanation deep within the icy interior. In an alleged interview, Byrd spoke of flying objects that could travel from pole to pole in seconds. In another report, he mentioned a land beyond the South Pole that is not covered in ice, with vast resources and strange phenomena. Of course, most of these claims were dismissed as exaggerations or misinterpretations. But even official records couldn't explain why the operation, so well funded, so meticulously planned, ended so suddenly. Some say they found something. Something they weren't supposed to. Imagine this for a moment. Deep below the ice, buried under miles of frozen layers, lies an ancient city. Perfect geometric patterns, pyramidal shapes seen in satellite images near the Ellsworth Mountains. Scientists call them natural formations. Yet when you overlay them with real Egyptian pyramid geometry, the proportions are eerily similar. It's as if nature itself decided to imitate human design, or maybe the other way around. In 2016, a team of geologists studying anomalies beneath the ice detected unusual magnetic readings, dense metallic signatures buried deep under the surface, unlike any natural formation. Some speculated it could be meteorite material. Others whispered it might be the remains of something artificial, an ancient technology frozen in time. But here's where it gets even stranger. Antarctica, despite being theoretically peaceful under the 1959 Antarctic Treaty, is heavily monitored. Military bases from multiple nations operate there officially for research. Yet many areas are restricted. No-fly zones. No entry coordinates. Even satellites are rerouted. Why restrict an empty continent of ice? Some say it's environmental protection. Others suspect there are secrets buried too powerful to reveal, remnants of a lost civilization, or perhaps evidence of something not entirely human. Now, before we drift too deep into speculation, let's look at the science, because the real story of Antarctica is equally incredible. Under 2 miles of ice lies Lake Vostok, one of the largest subglacial lakes on Earth. It's been sealed off from the atmosphere for around 15 million years, meaning whatever lives there evolved in complete isolation. When Russian scientists drilled into it, they discovered traces of microbial DNA, species unknown to science. That's life, thriving beneath miles of solid ice, untouched by sunlight. If life can survive there, in total darkness, with no oxygen, no warmth, what does that say about the limits of life itself? Could this also explain how life might exist on icy moons like Europa or Enceladus? Science meets mystery, again. Still, the deeper question remains, what else lies hidden below? Satellite imaging continues to reveal bizarre anomalies, hexagonal patterns under the snow, massive underground voids the size of skyscrapers, and circular depressions resembling ancient structures. Most are probably natural, but the human mind can't help but wonder. Because if Antarctica truly was once green, fertile, and habitable, then maybe, long before us, someone called it home. Some ancient astronaut theorists suggest that survivors of a lost civilization, possibly the one Plato described, fled south as cataclysmic floods reshaped the Earth around 12,000 years ago. Their advanced knowledge of architecture, astronomy, and navigation could have been passed down, inspiring later cultures like the Egyptians and the Mayans. Could Antarctica have been their final refuge, a civilization swallowed by the freezing grip of time? Science says there's no evidence yet. But history reminds us how often impossible discoveries eventually turn out to be true. Once, we believed no life could exist in volcanic vents at the bottom of the ocean. Now we know entire ecosystems thrive there. Once, we thought Mars was lifeless until we found methane in frozen water. So what if Antarctica's secrets are just waiting for the right technology or the right question to be uncovered? Every frozen continent has a memory. Every layer of ice, a page in Earth's diary. Beneath those endless plains, time itself stands still, preserving the story of a world we no longer recognize. And maybe, just maybe, when that story is finally read, we'll realize we were never the first to call this planet home. When we left off, the story of Antarctica was already blurring the line between science and mystery. But as we look deeper into its icy heart, the questions only grow more unsettling. Because what Admiral Richard E. Byrd reportedly saw or claimed to see still echoes through conspiracy circles, declassified documents, and history's forgotten corners. Let's rewind to 1947, the year after Operation High Jump ended. Byrd was a respected naval officer, decorated with medals and known for his record-breaking polar flights. He wasn't a man prone to exaggeration. That's why, when whispers began circulating about his lost diary, the world took notice. According to the alleged diary, whose authenticity remains debated, Byrd described flying into a region of Antarctica that was unlike anything seen before. He wrote of vast green valleys surrounded by mountains, a warm air current flowing upward, and a land free of ice. He even mentioned seeing strange disc-shaped craft escorting his plane. Of course, mainstream historians and the U.S. Navy deny any such flight took place. The diary surfaced decades later under mysterious circumstances, and there's no official record of it in military archives. But the story refuses to die. Because it speaks to something deeper, a human instinct that there's more to our world than we're told. What if, hidden beyond our maps, there really is another world beneath the ice? While many dismiss Byrd's tale as myth or Cold War propaganda, scientific discoveries since then have given his claims a strange sense of possibility. For example, deep radar scans have revealed massive subglacial tunnels, some large enough to fly a jumbo jet through. They were likely carved by volcanic heat and geothermal energy. But these tunnels could easily create entire hidden ecosystems, caverns warmed by Earth's core, shielded from the freezing surface above. If such hidden pockets of warmth exist, could they host unknown forms of life? Microbial? Perhaps even something more complex? In 2019, NASA scientists studying Antarctica as a model for icy moons discovered ancient microbial mats thriving under conditions they once thought impossible. These organisms had survived without sunlight, drawing energy from minerals and chemical reactions. If that's happening now, imagine what could have existed here when Antarctica was still green and alive. As scientists dig deeper, both literally and figuratively, the parallels between myth and evidence become harder to ignore. For centuries, stories of lost lands and forgotten civilizations have echoed through human history. Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu. Each legend describes a highly advanced culture wiped out by a sudden cataclysm, often a flood or rapid climate shift. And what was Antarctica's fate, if not exactly that? Roughly 12,000 years ago, the Earth underwent a violent transformation known as the Younger Dryas event, a sudden return to glacial conditions after a brief period of warmth. Temperatures plummeted, oceans rose, and species vanished. Some researchers, like Graham Hancock and Dr. Randall Carlson, have argued that this period may have buried an entire civilization under ice. Their theory suggests a comet impact triggered a chain of disasters that reshaped the planet and perhaps froze an entire continent in place. Mainstream science disagrees. But even within conventional geology, we know Antarctica's ice sheet grew rapidly during this time. What if the land beneath that ice once held cities, temples, and knowledge we've since forgotten? It might sound impossible, but consider this: in 2018, satellite imagery revealed a triangular formation emerging through the snow near Antarctica's Ellsworth Mountains. Perfectly shaped, almost symmetrical. The image went viral. Scientists explained it as a nunatak, a natural rock peak jutting through the ice. But the resemblance to a pyramid was uncanny. Other structures, spotted via radar, appeared to form geometric clusters beneath the ice shelf. They could be rock formations. Or they could be something else entirely. Yet even if they are natural, one fact remains certain: beneath Antarctica's ice lie entire mountain ranges, rivers, and valleys the size of European countries. That means there's an entire landscape, untouched for millions of years, sealed like a time capsule. Whatever's down there, it's older than any known human civilization. And that's where the story begins to overlap with something much bigger: the origins of humanity itself. Modern humans, according to genetics and archaeology, have existed for about 200,000 years. What were we doing for the other 190,000 years? Wandering? Forgetting? Or could it be that advanced knowledge existed long before we think it did, only to be erased by catastrophic change? It's here that Antarctica becomes the ultimate symbol of human amnesia. Imagine an advanced society living during a warmer epoch of Earth, when Antarctica was temperate, covered in forests, and rich in resources. They mastered navigation, possibly even technology we can't yet comprehend. Then, a global event, an asteroid impact, a magnetic pole shift, or a sudden freeze erased them overnight, burying their world beneath miles of ice. Thousands of years later, we stumble upon their memory in myths, symbols, and impossible architecture scattered across the globe. The pyramids of Giza, aligned perfectly with the stars. The temples of Pumapunku, cut with laser-like precision. The astronomical knowledge of the Maya, or the engineering marvels of Nan Madol in Micronesia, cities built on coral platforms that predate recorded history. Could all these fragments be echoes of a single origin, a civilization that once spanned the planet, now remembered only through ruins and legends? The idea seems far-fetched until you realize how little we actually know about our own past. More than 95% of the ocean floor remains unexplored. Less than 1% of Antarctica's subsurface has been mapped. Every new discovery pushes back the timeline of human achievement. Stone tools once dated to 10,000 years ago are now found to be 300,000 years old. So why not the possibility of a forgotten age, one erased by nature itself? Even governments seem strangely cautious about this region. Since the signing of the Antarctic Treaty in 1959, no nation is allowed to exploit its resources or establish military presence. Officially, it's for scientific preservation. But it also means the entire continent, larger than Europe, is off limits to ordinary people. You can't just walk in and explore. You need permits, security clearance, and government supervision. It's the most restricted landmass on Earth. And that's where imagination begins to fill the gaps. What are they protecting? Is it just fragile ecosystems and research stations, or something deeper, something history wasn't meant to remember? Some researchers believe the truth may lie under the ice itself. Satellite radar has revealed massive anomalies, dense, metallic regions shaped like domes, buried several miles below. Others suggest enormous caverns emitting unusual heat signatures. One such site, near the Wilkes Land anomaly, has intrigued scientists for years. Measuring over 250 kilometers across, it's a circular depression with readings that don't match any known geological feature. Some think it could be the remnants of a massive asteroid impact. Others quietly suggest it's artificial. And this brings us back to Admiral Byrd's mysterious description, a land beyond the pole that is not covered in ice. Could he have glimpsed an opening to one of these hidden regions? A geothermal oasis buried within? If so, what else might be there untouched, unseen, and waiting? There's also the strange phenomenon of magnetic anomalies detected in certain sectors of Antarctica. Compasses behave erratically, instruments fail, and even satellites record gravitational distortions. Scientists attribute it to natural variations in Earth's crust or iron deposits. But some independent researchers speculate that these readings could indicate buried technology or even massive metallic structures. The mind runs wild at the possibilities: ancient energy generators, remnants of forgotten cities, or even spacecraft sealed under the ice for millennia. Of course, science demands evidence, and so far, we have none. But curiosity has always driven discovery. Every myth begins as a whisper, and every breakthrough begins with a question. And that's where I want to ask you something. Do you believe Antarctica hides the ruins of a lost civilization, or are these just stories born from human imagination and our fear of the unknown? Let me know what you think in the comments below, because your perspective shapes how we explore this mystery together. For now, what we can say for sure is this: Antarctica is far from a dead continent. It's alive with secrets, geological, biological, and perhaps historical. Beneath its frozen crust, rivers flow, mountains rise, and the remains of ancient climates lie perfectly preserved. Whether those remains include traces of a lost civilization is still uncertain. But one thing is undeniable: Antarctica challenges our understanding of history, of science, and of ourselves. It reminds us how little we really know about our own planet. It asks us to look deeper, to question what's been forgotten, and to keep searching even when the answers seem buried beyond reach. Because maybe, somewhere under that endless sheet of ice, lies the key to our own forgotten past. As science advanced, so did our tools for peering beneath the ice. In the last few decades, technologies like ground-penetrating radar, ice-penetrating satellites, and thermal imaging have peeled back Antarctica's frozen layers, revealing a landscape more complex than anyone imagined. Under that cold, lifeless exterior, there are vast lakes, flowing rivers, and entire mountain ranges hidden from sight. One of the most astonishing discoveries was Lake Vostok, buried more than 2 miles below the ice, larger than Lake Ontario, and sealed off for at least 15 million years. When Russian scientists finally managed to drill into it, they found traces of microbial life unlike anything known on the surface. To many researchers, this was a revelation. Life could survive not just in extreme cold, but in complete isolation, without sunlight or oxygen. For scientists searching for life beyond Earth, this changed everything. If microbes could thrive beneath Antarctica's ice, then similar organisms might exist beneath the frozen crusts of Europa or Enceladus, the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn. But to others, Lake Vostok raised an even more mysterious question. What if it wasn't just microbes that once lived beneath the ice? What if entire ecosystems, or remnants of a forgotten civilization, still rest there, preserved in perfect stillness? Over the years, small details began to feed this speculation. Reports of unusual heat signatures under the ice, radar reflections that looked like geometric structures, and metallic anomalies that defied geological explanation. Some images even seemed to show what looked like walls, corridors, and shapes too precise to be natural. Most were dismissed as digital glitches or ice distortions. Yet, somehow, the mystery never faded. In 2016, a group of scientists from NASA's Operation Icebridge mission detected something astonishing: a massive void beneath the Thwaites Glacier, large enough to fit the entire city of New York. It wasn't just empty space, it was warm, active, and changing rapidly. The discovery stunned geologists because it suggested that geothermal heat or hidden volcanic activity might be melting the ice from below. If entire chambers can exist beneath Antarctica's surface, who's to say there aren't more, some even larger, sealed off for eons, waiting to be found? As technology improved, more anomalies appeared. In the region known as Wilkes Land, satellite data revealed a circular formation nearly 300 miles across, buried beneath 2 miles of ice. The readings showed a dense, metallic mass at its center. Scientists proposed it might be the remains of a colossal asteroid impact, perhaps the very one that triggered the mass extinction 250 million years ago. But alternative researchers believe it could be something else, a massive artificial structure, ancient beyond imagination. Whether natural or not, the fact remains that Antarctica hides something colossal beneath its surface. Something we still don't fully understand. And the deeper we dig, the stranger the patterns become. Let's consider the Piri Reis map again, the 16th century chart drawn by an Ottoman admiral using even older source maps. It shows Antarctica's coastline, free of ice, with startling accuracy. For centuries, historians have debated how this was possible. Could ancient mariners have mapped the continent thousands of years before it was frozen? Or did they inherit knowledge from an even earlier civilization, one that lived when Antarctica's shores were still green and habitable? Modern science tells us that the last time Antarctica was free of ice was millions of years ago, long before humans existed. But if these maps are real, and if they were based on direct observation, it challenges the entire timeline of human history. Many mainstream experts dismiss this as coincidence, but coincidences start to feel less random when they stack up. We have precise astronomical alignments in ancient monuments, unexplained construction techniques from prehistoric times, and myths that all speak of a catastrophic event that buried a once great land beneath water or ice. Plato wrote of Atlantis disappearing in a single day and night of misfortune. Other legends from Egypt, Mesopotamia, and South America tell the same story in different forms, a golden age destroyed by floods and storms. What if those stories weren't metaphors? What if they were distant memories, passed down across generations, of an event that wiped out civilization as we knew it? Antarctica, isolated and ancient, fits that narrative perfectly. If this theory holds even a sliver of truth, then Antarctica may not just be a continent, it could be Earth's oldest tomb. A frozen time capsule, hiding not fossils, but history. But what would such a civilization have looked like? Would they have been human? Advanced humans before the dawn of recorded history? Or something else entirely, another intelligent species that rose and fell long before us? Some researchers suggest that early myths about gods descending from the sky could have stemmed from encounters with survivors of that lost world. The Sumerians wrote of the Anunnaki, beings who taught humans agriculture and writing. The Egyptians spoke of the god Thoth, who came from a distant land to restore knowledge after a great flood. Even South American legends describe bearded teachers arriving after the seas receded. Could these stories have a common source, one ancient civilization spreading its wisdom before vanishing beneath the ice? The human mind resists such possibilities because they challenge the foundation of everything we've been taught. Yet every great discovery in history began the same way, with disbelief. For decades, scientists denied the existence of meteorite impacts shaping Earth's surface. Now we know craters cover every continent. They once mocked the idea of ancient humans building massive megalithic structures with precision. Now we study the engineering secrets of the pyramids with awe. Antarctica might be the next revelation waiting in line. But here's the strange part, despite being one of the most important and least explored regions on Earth, it remains almost completely off-limits. The Antarctic Treaty, signed in 1959, prohibits military activity, resource extraction, and private exploration. Only approved scientific missions can enter, and even they are limited in where they can go. Certain areas, especially those near magnetic anomalies or geothermal hotspots, are completely restricted. Officially, these rules protect fragile ecosystems. Unofficially, they fuel endless speculation. If there were truly nothing there but ice, why such secrecy? Why such control? Even some explorers who ventured close to these forbidden zones reported strange phenomena, compasses spinning wildly, equipment malfunctioning, and temperature readings that made no sense. some claimed to see unusual lights in the sky. Others reported hearing deep, rumbling sounds echoing beneath the ice. These accounts are anecdotal, not proof. But they add layers to a mystery already thick with unanswered questions. The deeper you dive into this story, the more you realize that Antarctica is not just a frozen desert, it's a paradox. A place where modern science and ancient legend overlap. Where data reveals facts that sound like myths, and myths reveal truths that science has yet to explain. Perhaps this is why Antarctica fascinates us so deeply. It represents the unknown that still exists in our world. In an age where satellites photograph every inch of the Earth, there's still a land no one truly understands. And maybe that's why some believe it's the perfect hiding place. If a lost civilization did exist, if their ruins, technologies, or records were preserved somewhere on this planet, there's no better place for nature to keep a secret than beneath a continent of ice 2 miles thick. The question is, will we ever uncover it? Maybe not yet. The tools exist, but the permission does not. The interest exists, but so do the politics. Still, science keeps moving forward. Every radar scan, every core sample, every new anomaly discovered pushes us closer to an answer. It's only a matter of time before Antarctica's ice gives up one of its secrets. And when it does, it might rewrite everything we thought we knew about human history. The frozen gateway is waiting. And beyond it could lie the story of where we truly come from. As the icy winds of Antarctica sweep across endless plains of white, you start to realize something. Maybe, just maybe, this continent isn't as lifeless as it appears. Beneath those layers of ancient ice could lie the silent remains of something extraordinary. Maybe not aliens, maybe not myths, but the story of human civilization itself, a chapter lost to time, waiting to be rediscovered. When scientists drill deep into the ice, they're not just studying frozen water. They're looking back in time, each layer a page of Earth's history. Some ice cores date back over 800,000 years. Imagine, within those frozen molecules could be traces of a world that no longer exists. Microbes, ancient air bubbles, particles from volcanic eruptions, and possibly, signs of civilizations that rose and fell long before the ice ever formed. It's a humbling thought that under the quiet hum of the Antarctic winds, lies a record of everything Earth has ever been. A memory the planet has kept hidden beneath ice so thick that no human has yet touched what's truly underneath. And yet, something about Antarctica still doesn't add up. Despite being the coldest, driest place on Earth, researchers have found traces of pollen, freshwater lake sediments, and even fossilized tropical plants buried deep within its layers. That means Antarctica wasn't always an icy wasteland. Millions of years ago, it was teeming with forests, rivers, and perhaps, intelligent life. Some researchers suggest that if there ever was a civilization capable of surviving the ancient Earth's climate extremes, Antarctica could have been their refuge. A place rich in geothermal energy, shielded from global catastrophes, and cut off from the rest of the world. Maybe they watched as other lands burned or drowned, and decided to disappear, literally, beneath the ice. Of course, this might sound like science fiction. But so did the idea of entire continents moving until we discovered plate tectonics. So did the idea that bacteria could survive frozen for millions of years, until we found them. Again and again, science reminds us that the line between the impossible and the undiscovered is thinner than we think. So the real question is, what if we're on the edge of uncovering a truth that changes everything? A truth that tells us civilization on Earth is far older, and far more advanced, than we've ever believed? Could the answers to humanity's origins be lying in wait under those frozen miles of silence? One thing is certain, the mystery of Antarctica is far from solved. Every expedition, every satellite scan, every deep drill adds a new piece to a puzzle that stretches across time. And as we move closer to the heart of this frozen enigma, the truth that emerges may not just redefine history, it might redefine humanity itself. Because maybe, just maybe, Antarctica isn't the end of the world. Maybe it's where our real story began. If that thought gives you chills, don't forget to like this video, share it with others who love exploring the unknown, and subscribe to World's Echoes, where every mystery finds its voice. Until next time, keep wondering, keep exploring, and remember, sometimes, the coldest places hold the warmest secrets of our past.